Okay, so now we're gonna feed our starter because we're gonna make some bread later. So the first thing you wanna do is put your jar on the scale and you want to zero it out so that you can accurately put in the right amount of starter, however much you want to keep. Some people keep a lot. I don't think you need to keep a lot because it is just kind of a waste because you're always feeding it equal parts water and flour. So why keep feeding it that amount, a large amount, if you aren't baking every day? Or even if you are, it uses like 56 or 60 grams of starter in one loaf of bread. So you don't need like 200 grams of starter. So I'm going to just feed, so I'm taking the starter that has not been fed, and for this purpose, I'm just pouring it into a different jar. And I'm gonna do 40 grams. So I gave it a stir just to get any gunk off the bottom so that it's nicely mixed in. Okay, so I got 42. And then I'm gonna take just all-purpose flour and pop that in the jar. And get to, people do different feeding ratios. I do a 1-1-1, meaning equal parts water, flour, and starter. Some people, if they want their starter to grow more slowly, so by growing it reaches its peak of efficiency, it's ready to be used in the bread. If they want to feed it and have it ready, like let's say they feed it before they go to bed, and they want their starter to be at peak when they wake up in the morning, they may feed it a 1-3-3 ratio. So that's 1 part starter, 3 parts water, 3 parts flour. It makes it rise more slowly. And that's good to do if you want to try to time it differently. For this purpose, I'm just feeding 1-1-1 because it's about 1:30 now, and the house is around 70 degrees. So hopefully it will be ready for me to put a loaf of dough together tonight before I go to bed. And then I will just let the dough rise overnight, and then I will be able to shape it in the morning. And I will show you that whole process. So once it's all put together, now I'm gonna take it off, and I'm just gonna give it a good stir. If you leave your starter on the counter, it needs to be fed twice a day in order to stay nice and active and strong. I don't recommend doing that. I always recommend keeping it in the fridge because who has time and money to be wasting on feeding it so much? That's just ridiculous. So that is what I do. All right, so now we're gonna put the lid on it. You don't have, some people just leave it like that. I've got fruit flies right now and they love sourdough starter. So I'm gonna close it up because they're driving me crazy. And then I like to put a rubber band or a mark on the jar so that I know when the starter has doubled in size and is nice and bubbly and active, because that shows me when it's peak, when it's ready to be used. We'll go more into that in the next video. All right, so that is feeding starter. This is going to rise. This is old starter, which now I'm going to consider discard. I could feed it. I could give it to somebody. I could make brownies with it. I could do whatever, but I don't need it. I don't, whatever. So I'm just going to pour it into my big jar. And this jar of discard could stay in the fridge. And you could use it to make all of the, discard recipes. I generally just keep it on the counter, and then when it gets full, I just pour it into a Ziploc bag and throw it in the trash. You never want to put it down your drain because it can harden and then cause pipe issues. So, all right, I think that's it for this video.